Hello, everyone. Very good morning. My name is Parth, and I am the CTO of this nextgencompany.ai and the lead instructor of acloudguruji.com. And we do have different courses. We are actually teaching around SAP BTP, cloud, and AI areas. And as because we are actually delivering the different MVPs, POCs, and the some kind of like concept for different customers around generative AI hub and SAP, especially SAP generative AI hub, and in general the generative AI. We can actually distribute similar kind of knowledge to others as well, so that they can also get benefited out of it. So that's the main purpose here. And let me quickly jump into today's topics. What are the topics that we are going to see in today's session? So we are going to see like generative Gen AI for business, especially, and SAP. I hope most of us from SAP background itself. So we'll first start with the generative AI overview, like what is this, why so the whole world is actually caring about this generative AI, and how to implement from SAP's perspective. For that, we'll be actually seeing some of the reference architecture, how actually SAP is envisioning generative AI in their whole ecosystem, tech stacks. And then we'll also see in the generative AI hub overview in the BTP cockpit itself, how it looks like. Okay, and then we'll move into some kind of demo. So very tiny, small demo, part of the training session that we already having in our batch on. So we took some of the small portion of from there, and we are trying to demonstrate it here. The first demo will be actually saying around the RAG. Don't worry about anything if you are seeing some or many of the terminologies going forward in very foreign term. So because each and everything we are going to explain in bits and pieces. So don't worry about anything. So RAG. So this is one of the use case or prominent use case over the industry, especially in enterprise area. So we'll be actually seeing one of the demo from that. And then another demo we'll be also seeing in respect to the SQL agent, that also around LLM. We'll be building applications there. So not building, so we'll just give a demo how the things will be working there around the LLM and generative AI. And then if we are new or even someone is actually practicing some of the things, getting different blogs or videos from different places, probably it's better idea to have a proper roadmap to actually navigate through the learning journey, so that you can thrive in your career or in your organization, right? So these are the main topics that we are going to cover, and I'll also give you some space so that we can get your questions as well. This is a webinar, so I want to make it more on interactive session. Okay, so let's move forward. We are mainly from SAP background. Mainly we are dealing with different people, process, or maybe like product. These are the main pillars for any kind of enterprise, right? If I just start from the very basic level so that our understanding will be much more clear. So for any kind of organization, for any enterprise, or while we are actually implementing an ERP, be it SAP or non-SAP or any other ERP, so there are different modules, right? Like inventory. I'll be going a little bit slow initially, and I'll be speeding up the things so that things will be much more clear for you. And inventory related to the supply chain management generally, and then supply chain management relates to the procure to pay in between. And then while you have the inventory, you are selling the products to the customers, so you do have the order to cash flow in your ERP system, and also you do have the customer relationship management. As a consultant or as a technical person, we are mainly actually implementing some of the solution on top of it, or some of the customizations on top of it. So like we are improving the process in the user experience, we are automating the workflow, analyzing the data, and based on that, of course, the main goal is to generate the revenue for the customer. Correct? So while we have all the modules and we are trying to enhance those modules based on the customer need, of course, like what is the main thing that we are considering? That is the data, right? From all the places, it is very much visible that we are actually dealing with data. So data is the central point, and on top of those data, we are trying to enhance the user experience, automate the workflow, analyze the and enterprise data, and so on. And those data generally we have seen that it has been stored in some relational database. The data are there in some relational database. And on top of the relational database, we have seen that we were able to build our applications using our programs. We are basically writing the code in different programming languages, let me admit. And then we are able to serve or customize or enhance the business processes on top of the standard modules. But it's not something like all the data will be there in structured format in relational database, right? In industry. So many of the informations and data are actually coming from different other sources. What are the different other sources? The source can be the internet, right? The source can be emails, right? The source can be like social media channel like X or Meta. The data can be in JSON or any other format like XML. Also, not only this, but also like image, video, audio format. Correct? Those are unstructured data, right? And those unstructured data also carries lots of values. And many of the time also people are actually trying to get values of those unstructured data. We have seen in the past as well, like in the past decades or so, using machine learning and AI, we were trying to make sense out of those unstructured data, do data analytics, do automations, and so many other things. But probably those are not so efficient in terms of getting the max value out of those unstructured data. So that's the reason this generative AI or Gen AI things is now being much more popular nowadays. Why it is being much more popular, we need to just now understand with some example. For that, I'll be actually giving one of the example. Let's say that some unstructured data means like in natural language format. Maybe we can imagine that when you are searching in probably in Google, okay. So if you are searching something like vitamin in Apple, and if you are searching other time like revenue in Apple, so the first apple actually it is the fruit, right? So and the second apple it is actually the company, correct? My drawing is so bad. And here instead of like in both the sentence, if we have the same apple as a word, okay, but as because the context is different, so that's the reason when you are trying to search the same thing like vitamin and apple and revenue in Apple, it will give you corresponding contextual information. So where from this context awareness is coming into picture? So let me just try to explain. So this main thing is context awareness, and the probably like it has the capability nowadays, the semantic search. So this particular capability is nowadays is possible because of one of the prominent architecture that has been uh, that is being so popular nowadays, that is transformer. And based on this transformer architecture, we have seen many companies like OpenAI, like Meta Llama, like Google Gemini. They have built different large language model with billions of parameter and trillions of token. So please don't worry, as because maybe some of the terminologies will be very new for many of us. So don't worry, because that is natural. Okay. So we'll actually work you through in each and every aspects of all those things, like the parameters, tokens, this transformer, this contextual search, and all those things, right? So don't worry. So far, I hope like everyone is much more accustomed nowadays with at least the open AI, right? The chat GPT application. Okay. So there probably we have seen that we are giving different prompts or instruction, and based on that prompts and instruction, whenever we are actually giving, it is giving us the response back. So that is fine. But what happens, the main challenge with this large language model, which has been trained with terabytes of informations over the internet, it doesn't have the domain specific knowledge. Okay. So if we consider, okay, we wanted to utilize those large language models in our organization, but our organization has some specific domain related things they are operating on, right? So of course those large language models or those generative AI models doesn't have the domain specific knowledge. This is the main challenge, and to overcome this particular challenge, we do have different solutions. What are the solutions? So what are the different techniques that we can use to solve that particular problem, the domain knowledge specific problem, right? Because large language model doesn't have the domain specific knowledge. So for that, we do have the prominent solution that we are implementing across the industry, that is retrieval augmented generation. This terminology may be very new to everyone, but don't worry, we can infuse our custom data or our domain specific data so that we can work with the large language model. We do not have to push our own sensitive data to the large language model and retrain it. Rather, we can keep it side by side, and we can efficiently utilize the large language model to fulfill our purposes. We have to store those data somewhere, right? So we'll see those details as well. And some other techniques, like what we can do is the few shot learning. Sometimes if the large language model, we can do the fine tuning. These are the popular technique by which we can infuse our domain specific knowledge or characteristics to the large language model. Then we can deal with all those unstructured data. How to actually build those generative AI or LLM based applications for our organization using our domain specific knowledge. We need to start from the what are the technologies that we are going to use, the tech stack that probably we need to use, mainly the Python. Python would be our preferred choice to implement all those large language based model applications. We will be building RAG application. We need to store those domain specific knowledge somewhere. For that, we need some database with some specific requirement. We generally call it as a vector engine. We do have the baseline programming by which we will be actually operating or creating the application. We need some kind of like mechanism to follow or the framework to follow. So we'll be following mainly the LangChain. I am specifically mentioning LangChain because there would be some other framework also by which you can orchestrate your application developments and processes, like Llama Index, feed data, and so on. But as because SAP is highlighting LangChain in their architecture in all the places, we'll be seeing those details in some time. And on top of that, we'll be building the agents, we'll be building the assistant, and then we will be ready with our application. We are talking about this OpenAI, Gemini, Llama. That means we need to consume those models, or even we need to deploy our custom models or custom applications to some places, right? So we'll prefer to actually deploy our applications or consume the large language model from different providers. So what are those providers? Those providers are nothing but like AWS Bedrock. We'll be using Azure, like OpenAI or different other AI services, and deploy even our custom models and applications to Azure. We can also do the same thing for GCP. And as because we are from SAP background, we probably will be more and more interested in SAP BTP, GenAI Hub. We'll be using the AI Core and AI Launchpad. Any questions so far around this particular area? Because we have started from the very basics, bottom to up, and we try to understand why we are learning these things, what are the different component, and how we have to process or proceed further in this journey. Of course, we'll see more and more details as per our schedule. Like after that, we'll be seeing the reference architecture from the generative AI hub, sorry, SAP BTP Gen AI reference architecture. Then we'll be also seeing the overview of this, and also we'll go for the demo. And at the end, just wait for the end, like we'll be having a very good roadmap so that you can easily navigate and become a professional Gen AI developer or architect. Okay. So any questions around this particular area? Because I was telling you in between each and every topic, we'll just pause for 1 or 2 minutes and take up your questions. Please raise your hand if you have any questions around it. This is just a 30-minute, 45-minute session. So as much as possible, I will try to explain the things. Thank you for this. Let me just move forward. Of course, I will just try to highlight the LangChain part as well. So for that, first of all, let's walk through the reference architecture. Okay, because why you will be believing me, right? So believe in SAP, yes, because we are from SAP background. Let's see how this SAP they are trying to project the generative AI application. Let me just go back and try to see the things how SAP is actually projecting. For that, we'll be going to the Discovery Center. I wanted to you also to see how it looks like. If you go to the Discovery Center, I hope everyone understands these things. If you are from have some idea about BTP and you're working in BTP space, so here we do have the reference architectures. If you just search AI, and you can see there are different reference architecture, but this is one of the best architecture, like the retrieval augmented generation with Gen AI on SAP BTP. If you just expand this particular one, or probably like just copy, I'll just copy this architecture, I'll paste it here so that I can explain it in better way. Okay, I hope it is visible. So here you can see most of the things probably you already know, like the application we are we are building applications using, like the front end is with the SAP UI5, like the applications backend services, we are trying to use the CAPM, cloud application programming language, and some of the other things like the HANA database, the normal HANA database also we already have seen in many of the places probably, and also like these destinations and all authorization and trust management service, app router, and so many other things. So probably if you're working in BTP, you already know these things, or if you are in a part of our earlier trainings, so you must be the guru in this particular area. So now the main uh, additional parts that you can see here, this is the generative AI hub. Okay, so generative AI hub, and then outside we do have the foundation models, and here also we do have something like the LangChain. You can see SAP is highlighting LangChain, okay, as the orchestration tool or framework to build large language based generative AI based application development. Okay, so let's imagine that you have the data coming from different places, like you do have data coming from this S4HANA, you do have data coming from third party system, you do have you are pushing the data somewhere else, like you can also have data in your HANA database as well, right? The local HANA database in BTP itself. And on top of that, you are able to build the application using the CAPM framework, building the microservices and consuming it in the SAP UI5 applications. And then you are giving it to the end user. On top of those similar data, or maybe like some unstructured data, if you have, you can actually put all those unstructured data here. Okay, like those PDF files, images, or any other unstructured data that we were discussing so far, and you can store it in vector engine, HANA cloud vector engine, so that you have better idea about it practically. And then when you wanted to consume or infuse those unstructured data with large language model, which we are trying to consume it through the business generative AI hub in BTP, which is nothing but it is actually taking the foundation model from outside, like Azure OpenAI, GCP Vertex AI, and so many other things which we will be seeing in some time now itself. And whenever we are consuming it through the generative AI hub, We'll be seeing all those details, how to consume, how to create the service instance, and how to actually work on all those foundation models here. And then on top of that, whenever you wanted to build applications on top of it, you have to actually use this LangChain. Okay, so LangChain is one of the star here, build large language model based applications. Okay, and while LangChain, you can definitely use the all large language models just by calling their APIs. That is very simple thing, but you will not be able to build the full-fledged applications. Calling API is nowadays is very normal. Every person can do it. Okay, so there is no big deal for that. But how to build the end-to-end application out of it, those are very important part. Okay, so and how to actually manage the data, how to actually scale your application, those are very important. So that's the reason we are using the generative AI hub for our scalability purposes. For orchestration purpose, we'll be using LangChain. So probably now you have better idea. Yes, definitely these are the different components you need to actually learn going forward. And let's proceed. Okay, so how long you will be actually seeing the theories, right? So for that, what I'll do is I'll be actually moving forward and opening one of our, okay, let me see where I have logged in. I'll just try to show you now the SAP Generative AI Hub, how it looks like, how the foundation models, what are the foundation models are available, and how we can use it, right? So unfortunately, like generative AI hub or AI core is not available in the trial account. If you are working in industry, like probably you can ask your company organization to actually give access for this. It has a little bit of cost. So I think, of course, like if company wants to survive, even they have to spend or invest in their POCs area, right? MVP creation areas. So anyway, so let's move forward here. If I just go to the sub accounts, let's go inside the sub account. Let me see whoever is talking. Just please be in mute if you're not talking. Okay, so here, if I just go into one of our sub account, let's say I have the sub account where I already activated the required services like the those generative AI, so AI, sorry, AI core engine and also AI launchpad. So I'll just directly go here in the instances and subscriptions. And if I just go, so here we can see we do have the AI core with extended plan. And also we do have the SAP AI launchpad. So this particular AI core extended plan is actually attached to our AI launchpad service. This is how the SAP AI launchpad will look like, whichever is most important. I will just walk you through. Like, okay, so now if we go to the scenarios, there you will see all the foundation model that SAP is actually onboarding in SAP Generative AI Hub engine. Okay, so what are the foundation models? So when I'm talking about foundation model, just if you do not have much idea, just think about ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT is one of the application is built on OpenAI or GPT foundation model. Okay, so GPT 3.5 or GPT-4 foundation model. So those are foundation models. We do have the AI core open source, AWS Bedrock, Azure OpenAI, and GCP Vertex AI. So some of the foundation models you are seeing it here. AWS Bedrock is coming into picture in this AI core engine or the generative AI hub engine. So if I just open in one of them, like let's say the Azure OpenAI, you can see we do have the different models like the GPT 3.5 Turbo. Even we do have the GPT-4 and GPT-4 other models as well. For different purposes, we use for different models to fulfill our application development. And if I just go into the AI core open source, also some of the guys were asking me, hey, I wanted to use Llama. SAP is trying to implement or trying to onboard all the open source, like prominent open source model as well as part of the AI core open source. We do have the Llama, we do have the Mistral, we do have the Falcon, and so many other open source models. Again, I'm saying don't worry about all those terminology. If you are seeing is at it at the very first time, in 2-3 months you'll be well accustomed with all those things, and you'll be in a better position to actually develop the business applications based on the problem statement that you have in your organizations or company. Okay, So now you do have certain idea about how it looks like, and now probably we'll move forward and we'll see like how we can use all those foundation models available in generative AI hub engine in BTP. So for that, SAP has given two kind of like things. So if I just open in one of the foundation model which I have deployed, so if I just go to the deployment and I will just open, let's say like this next gen Alama, and here SAP has given the APIs. You can directly use the APIs and you can actually build your application. That's fine, but you will not be able to easily build the full-fledged application. For that, SAP has given the Python SDK. Okay, so what are those Python SDK? If I just come to the pypy.org, you can see SAP has given this package. So if you are new to Python as well, then also don't worry, because if you will be part of our journey, so we will start Python from the very basic level, from the Hello World Python. We spend some time around Python. We are also creating some of the basic applications around the Python, so that we make sure that you are well accustomed with Python as well. So anyway, so this particular package is nothing but, let's say like if you are from ABAP background, it is nothing but something like you can imagine the function module, okay, or different classes, where SAP has built some pre-built functionality and we are just using it by passing the different parameters, input and output parameters. SAP has packaged different things, whichever is absolutely necessary in this package, Python package. We can use this package, and with writing very less amount of code, right? And we can mainly focus on the business problem statements, how to solve it. Okay. So SAP is trying to do the similar things for CAPM as well, right? So CAPM is one of the package that is built on top of the Node.js Express model, right? So similarly here also SAP is coming up with this package. Although this is a little bit older, that means like all the models whichever is available as of now is not part of this particular package. So gradually probably SAP will be releasing newer version of it. So here you can see also the maintainer is SAP itself. If you want, you can also go through this, but some of the pieces, the code from here only we'll be trying to use in our demo itself. Okay. So let me just come back to our drawing board and try to see how we can use those packages in our purpose, in our application development. Let's imagine that you have the generative AI hub. This is SAP logo, very nice logo. So Gen AI hub, and on top of this, as I was trying to mention, we do have two options to build applications on top of this generative AI hub. We do have the Gen AI Python SDK, and we do have other option where we will be actually can use the API. And when we are talking about the consumption of the large language models, we are talking about the Azure OpenAI through generative AI hub engine. So we have the Google Gemini, we have the AWS Bedrock, and it is a better way to learn this thing, right? So open source. So we do have models like Llama 70B or 7B. We do have other models like Falcon. So we can consume those large language model using the generative AI hub Python SDK or API. So while you will be actually using the generative AI hub Python SDK, we'll see the large language LLM models we can consume. We can consume it as the chat model. What is this chat model or LLM model? Probably I'll try to explain if time permit. And also we'll be having the different embedding model part of the foundation model itself. So I'm trying to mix up the things. Whoever has some certain knowledge, they can also upgrade it, probably like in this session. And whoever is not having or starting from the very basic level, so for them also, I'm trying to go that level as well. And probably like this large language model, these are good, right? But you cannot build the end-to-end applications or automations out of only this large language model. You need some framework, or you have to build your own framework, custom framework. For that only, we are trying to use LangChain. Let's say like whenever you are trying to chat something like in ChatGPT itself and saying, okay, so I have this data, and now you calculate this, or you multiply this into this, right, like that. So uh, large language model only understand language. It calls different tools and agents internally based on their understanding, based on large language model understanding. Let's say like I'm trying to ask some mathematical question to ChatGPT. ChatGPT, the large language model, will not calculate for you. It will call some tools like calculator, and then it will come up with the resulted value. Then it will be giving you the result. So similarly, so that means large language model need different tools, agents to fulfill or to build a full-fledged application, right? So for that, we need LangChain to orchestrate between different tools, agents, and so many other things. Okay, and also there are component like LangChain community means, let's imagine that SAP has also come up with this HANA vector engine. So this is also part of LangChain community. So whichever the third party organizations, they are building different tools or agents, and they wanted to align with LangChain to have the full-fledged framework. So we will get all those tools and other agents using the LangChain community. Okay, and when you have built the application, you can also serve the application using the LangServe. So what does that mean? We have seen it in exclusively in our sessions. So LangServe will be able to build APIs out of the application or the services that we are building on top of the large language model, so that then at the end we will be consuming it through the other part of the application or microservice. Let's say like you have the service now or API now out of custom API that you have built on top of the large language model using the different tools and something like that. And then those APIs you can consume it in CAPM application or UI5 application. We were then consuming all those things in our API itself. Okay, so in our corresponding other part of the microservice, we do have the different other part like Langsmith, which will help us to monitor and to debug the things, okay, in LangChain, and so many other things. Like even you can also use the LangGraph to actually build the agents out of it, and you can build the large language model based applications. If you wanted to build the applications using the direct API consumption of all those foundation models, those also you can do, but in that case you have to build your custom API because you do not have the framework there like LangChain or something like that. You have to also build your custom framework. You can build the large language model based applications out of it as well. Okay, so I hope this part is much clear. So considering the time, let's move forward. Let's see what are the next topics that we have in our section. Now we do have the demo. Okay, demo 1 and demo 2. Let's go to the first demo, the RAG LLM based application, and then we'll go for the second demo. I will be using one of the architecture or similar kind of architecture that we have seen here itself, like how SAP is actually projecting. So what SAP is saying, okay, so here or this is a generic framework everyone is using. So let's say you do have some unstructured data in PDF format in or text file, okay. So you can store those unstructured data in the vector engine. We'll be using SAP HANA vector engine now. You wanted to build applications like I wanted to build a chatbot application out of it, and then you can build the application using LangChain itself. We'll be using the application building in LangChain itself, and on top of that we can use LangServe to actually expose our application as an API so that we can consume it from CAPM or somewhere else. And here also we'll be using the generative AI hub, the foundation model. Especially we'll be using a couple of foundation model like the Azure OpenAI GPT 3.5, and also we'll be using embedding model as well to embed the data. Okay, so if this terminology is new for you, again I'm saying don't worry. Let me try to explain it in very uh, layman perspective. Okay, so let's say that so the use case is like you have in very uh, layman perspective, the use case is like you have your data and maybe like as an end user you are querying different information. So your data is stored, let's say imagine that your data is stored in HANA database. So these are your documents, okay, so like PDF document and any other document, unstructured data document, you are storing it into HANA cloud vector engine. I'm not going into much details about like the how the vectors and those things, because we do have a dedicated session like 2-3 hours of sessions to explain all those kind of things and actually implement the things. Probably time permits, we'll go and try to see the things. Okay, as of now at high level, whenever the end user queries any kind of questions or any kind of informations, it goes to the retriever component of it, of the process, and then the retriever component actually query the information from the database, the vector engine, where your actual business data, unstructured data is being stored, and then it comes up with the relevant information. Okay, and then it goes to the large language model. The large language model have both the user query and the database information. User query is now augmented with the database information, the domain information. That is how we are calling it as augmentation. Okay, so we are retrieving the data and augmenting it with the information, the user query with the database information, and then we are asking generative AI or large language model to generate the fine-tuned result, right, or the final response. So those response will be going to the user. Okay, so at a very high level. So I think, like, let's go to the demo. Let's move into the demo, where probably I will try to showcase something. Okay, let me just see. Let me just kill the process, whichever is happening. So let me just open another window. For that particular application, the RAG application, and what we have done is we have taken some of the information, okay, of next gen technologies. Let me just show it to you. So let's say that you have some unstructured data. Again, I'm going to the next gen company, and this particular next gen company formed recently, so that probably the reason the large language models, which generally gets trained in a quarter or once or twice in a year, because it is very expensive to train with all those data. So that's the reason probably this data is not available. Okay, so whichever the data we do have with this next gen company, if I just hit this budget calculator or rate card, we have this particular PDF. Okay, so just to make this use case very simple, as of now, I'm just taking some of the unstructured data, like, okay, let me just copy this data. Okay, so rate card, and let me just delete this rate card information. Let me just put it here, and some of the other informations, like if I just put this information, the actual pricing structure, maybe like this kind of similar use case also you'll be having in your organization. I'm just giving it in a plain text file. Okay, this is a .txt file, and now what I'll do is I'll be using the rack technique so that I can store this information in a vector format. So why the vector format? So in this new era, like in ChatGPT era, probably we are forgetting that computer doesn't understand natural language. Computer only understand numbers, right? So we need to actually compare numbers with numbers. For that particular purpose, we need to first store those unstructured data in numerical format. We have created this particular instance. We have created this instance, okay, like OpenAI instances, like this next gen GPT 3.5 turbo, this instance, and we'll be using next gen text embedding ADA. So we'll be using first of all next gen text embedding ADA, which is nothing but coming from the GPT embedding model. Okay, so if I just go inside, you can see here it is nothing but our GPT embedding model itself. So we have used this particular model, these two models, to actually first of all embed our information in HANA database and then retrieve it or augment it using the next GPT 3.5 turbo, this particular model. These are the models that I have used. Okay, and here I'll not walk you through the whole code as of now, that's fine. So here embedding deployment ID, it is this one, DAFD ends with 505. So it is nothing but this ID, DAFD 505. Okay, and this one LLM deployment ID, this is nothing but we have used D5 CFC, D5. We have used the Falcon model to augment the information for the final result. And when we do have this text file with the unstructured data, and then what we are in this particular HANA database embeddings next gen in numerical format, and then on top of that we'll be using the large language model to query on top of it and or augment on top of it and give the final result to the user, whichever the user will be asking any question. Okay, so for that purpose, what I'll do is I'll go to the project directory, PGP ready, and Let me activate the virtual environment. VENV AI core scripts activate. If I'll just execute this particular code or this application, so how to actually execute streamlit run rag hana streamlit.py. Okay, so you will see a very simple but effective user interface. It will be appearing now with the option to actually give the user input, and then it will try to do the things, whichever the things that we were trying to explain here. Sorry, here, let's go back. See what is happening. It actually does all those kind of like embeddings, chunkings, whichever will be stored in our HANA database. Let me just show it to you. Okay. So how it looks like in HANA database itself. This is our HANA database. I will take 10 more minutes to complete this session. Let me just go inside the database explorer. You can prepare your questions if you have anything. We'll go through the question answer now in some time. Because of time, I probably would not be able to go for the second demo, the SQL agent demo. If I go to the database, I'll see that particular table will be appearing. Let me just go inside the table. Yes, so embedding NextGen, if I just go and open the data, I can also show the information in some better way, probably. That's fine, I believe. That is fine. So those informations are being stored here in this particular different chunk format. Okay, so how those information divided into, you can see 3 rows, because we have mentioned the chunk size as 500 and chunk overlap is 0. Don't worry about those as well if you are very new to these things, because these are very natural. After getting the information, those parameters like how much would be the chunk size, it is dividing our unstructured data, which is nothing but this information, into 3 chunks, and it is storing it into the vector database in a numerical format. As of now, you can imagine it like that. And it is also saying the source as well. This is next gen rate card text. So the source is same. It has divided into 3 parts and stored it into numerical format. Now on top of it, if I will just ask any queries, let me just ask the query. Let's say I'm asking this. Tell me about NextGen company. What are their pricing structure? Please answer as short as possible. So if I just submit this particular question, it will try to get the information from this unstructured data, and it will try to give the answer from the generic information from here, and also the rate card that we have, like this level 1 to level 4, or the distinguished engineer rate card. So it starts from $20 to $80 per hour. So it will try to give you the answer. Sure, here is the NextGen company pricing structure. The distinguished engineer is 80, and so many other things. It will try to answer based on the information got embedded into our vector database. Okay, so I hope you got some idea about what kind of applications that you can build. I was trying to explain or demo another application where probably you can directly query the database. Okay, I can quickly show that demo as well. You can see now it is giving me the answer. NextGen technology offers specialized solutions in ERP, SaaS, AI, cloud, and technology, empowering digital transformations and enterprise needs. Okay, and so many other things, which probably it is trying to get the details from the unstructured data itself, whichever we have placed in HANA database. Let's go for the second demo very quickly. If I'll just try to explain. So let's say that I have this data in a table format. Do you have any question? We do have this data. This is the invoice information, which is the invoice from different countries like US, Brazil, Australia, India, Japan, and we do have different amounts and so many other things. And if we wanted to query this data in natural language way, okay, so for that particular purpose we are using this SQL agent, and probably like I will just make it true and execute it once again. And then if I'll just ask, list the total sales per country, which country's customers spend the most. This kind of questions you can ask out of the structured data as well. And then the query, it will try to find the relevant table from your database, you can see as because I have made the verb was equal to true, it is trying to get all those details from the database itself. It already identified the invoice is the right table, and then it is trying to create the database uh, query, and at the end it has given the information like this, and then it has given the output like the country whose customers spend the most in is the US, with the total sales amount is $401. So US, if you just sum up the values of this total, this is $401 itself. Okay, so this is how you can actually deal with different use case using the large language model or generative AI hub, sorry, generative AI in general. And let me just walk you through some of the roadmap. If we do have a session later on, we'll try to explain. If you wanted to start your journey in generative AI, especially AI and ML, probably like as our course is also designed in that way, start with Python and then you can move to the machine learning. Don't directly jump into the generative AI. That's the main thing that I am trying to explain here. And then you can try to learn the natural language processing. Natural language processing, because is the baseline is natural language processing, and then on top of that you try to learn the deep learning techniques. On top of the deep learning only, you try to start learning the large language model, okay, LLM, or the foundation models like the OpenAI, Gemini, the Llama, and so on. You can start learning those LangChain. In LangChain, we have seen that we do have different things like the LangChain core. We do have things like LangGraph, LangServe, Langsmith, and so on, right? So after learning all those things, now you can proceed further for SAP BTP, the generative AI hub, because at the end, if you are only doing the API call, then you are not learning generative AI, machine learning, and NLP, right? So that you will not project yourself as a generative AI hub, generative AI engineer. Rather, then it will be normal like API call and building the applications. You have to struggle. Then you will be struggling a lot to build end-to-end application. So generative AI hub, and then AI core, then AI launchpad. If you will be part of our journey, so we do have 10 plus industry standard project that we are trying to learn here. We are trying to learn those founding founding things, right? So foundations like the Python. So there also we are building different projects, POCs, so that we will be more and more accustomed with other things, right? Like the Python. So after learning the basic Python, we are building some applications as well. Like we have built the SCM applications where we are actually having the barcode scanning applications for delivery node generation. I'm just giving idea. If you are learning independently, you can also build this kind of application. As for the machine learning part, you can also build some predictive application. So like we have also built some plan maintenance predictive application for the classification algorithm. You can also build regression based prediction models. When you are learning NLP, you just build different chatbot application and deploy to the BTP. You try to learn that deep learning using neural network and so many other things you can learn. So this should be your step-by-step process to learn and go towards the large language model or even the generative AI hub, SAP generative AI hub. So if you directly go to the generative AI hub and try to just consume the APIs, you will be ending up with nothing. Okay. So these are the detail level of roadmap. Probably you can try to follow. I will be sharing all those details to you later on, like basic Python, then AIML, and even like accustomed with the cloud technologies, and then the NLPs, generative AI foundation model, LangChain, vector database, and so many other large language models. And we are building different applications out of it. Like these are the different applications. These are the prominent applications. We will be detecting the duplicate invoice using Gemini. We'll be creating the applications like customer segmentation for the recommendation system. vendor recommendation engine. Okay, so resume as scanning, scoring system. Okay, so using all those SAP and non-SAP technologies, and also we do have some of the ML ops part as well, part of our journey. So these are the probably main things you can also try to see. And at the end, I'll just try to tell you that how we are actually operating. So if you will join our sessions, like we do have 2 months program, we are trying to learn end to end of large language based application development, starting from Python towards the upper level, everything. We do have sessions during Saturday. We do have sessions in Sunday. And on top of that, we do have sessions, doubt clearing sessions on Wednesday, just giving the lectures, showing you the demo, showing you the different code base. Maybe will not help. You also have to do practice, and then only you will be learning and becoming an expert. So for that, we do have this Wednesday doubt clearing session. So as of now, we are operating like this, and that's it as of now from my side. Probably like I wanted to, because of time constraint, I have to stop because I have to definitely jump into another call in few minutes. So if you have any questions around it, I will be staying here for next 2-3 minutes. And then if you have more questions, probably you can always ping me. How to ping me? Probably you can just go to our website like acloudguruji.com, and here you will find this WhatsApp chat. So you can chat with me or some of my team member anytime if you have any questions. So please let me know. As of now, if you have any doubt or concern or any idea to make it better, so please do let me know. All good, guys? Okay, then fine. Don't hesitate to connect with me anytime. And we are starting the next batch, just for your information, from 15th of this month. Okay, that means the next week, next Saturday itself. So if you wanted to join, just enroll from our courses section. Like you can go to this business Gen AI from our courses section and you can enroll it. And if you are already part of our A Cloud Guruji journey, so especially the level 3, level 4, you will get a special discount from us. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Or probably I will just say here 1 more minute if you have any questions around it.
So Parth, I have one question. So the course that you are talking about, what's the prerequisite for that?
There is no prerequisite. If you are from any kind of technical background, any kind of programming language, that should be
Okay.
enough, because we are starting from the very scratch level, very basic level. So you can see this is the reason
Okay.
I highlighted that roadmap.
Mhm. Okay, understood.
Partha, is this direct online classes or just recording classes? I mean,
Yeah, direct online class. Okay, so we are already running our first batch. So
mhm.
we are almost halfway, 50-60% of the things are done. So we thought like let's start a new batch, because I think there are lots of learnings are happening. People are very happy with that. We got lots of good feedback. So that's the reason we are starting our next batch.
And the access for the practice purpose will be provided from your end.
Most of the
How it's
times, so whenever let's say that these are the things are very common, those are the things you can do it for free, like you do not need any license or any things. And when we'll be going to the generative AI hub, because if you do not have the license, I provide for limited time, let's say like during the sessions you can do the practice, but that doesn't actually stop you to actually do the practice. But at the end, because in the generative AI hub, in business generative AI hub in SAP BTP, these are the main models that we are actually using, right? And those models you can use it directly from the original providers. Like you can go to the OpenAI and you can create the API key there and you can use it. Probably you have to put your credit card there, but this is a fraction amount, like only $5-10 only you can spend and you
Mhm.
can do it. Otherwise, there are different open source model like Llama. So those you can directly use. You can install even in your local computer as well. If you have a proper infrastructure in your computer, you can use it. You have to spend $1,000 and something like that. But uh, and I am providing some hours of access to that as well. That is fine. But if you wanted to practice by your own, you can use the same OpenAI APIs or OpenAI large language model from directly the OpenAI platform itself. You do not have to directly use the SAP Generative AI Hub. That's the main thing that I wanted to highlight. Got it?
Okay.
Anything else, guys? Let me message my other team that I'll be joining in some time. If you have any questions, probably I'll just stay, okay? Because I'll go out of this session around in 3-4 minutes. Okay, so
Got one more question. I mean, so SAP Joule also will be a part of this, learning journey.
yeah, probably I'll as of now it is not part of our curriculum, but as because some of you guys probably okay, so Joule. So I promise my previous batch as well. I'll be including Joule as well in one of the session. So, but believe me, there is nothing to learn. If you include Joule in your CV, it will not add much value because this is just a service that for end user perspective. Okay, of course, I will be including that as well.
Okay, I mean, from development point of view, it is not going to help much more.
Yeah, so there are some SAP is building their pre-built application. Okay, so in different modules, and they are releasing it for S4 HANA, especially for S4 HANA Cloud. Okay, and Joule. So there are mainly I think two part. One part is uh, the assistant part. Okay, so assistant part for different application like success factor. They are inbuilt. They are giving the inbuilt chat application inside the success factor so that you can chat directly and get your job done. They will be doing the similar things in other modules as well going forward. So that means that nothing to learn. Just you have to give the questions or whatever you wanted to do, and based on that, it will operate. Okay, nothing to learn there. You can actually use Joule as a coding assistant. Like let's say you wanted to create a CAPM application or UI application, so you can ask Joule to actually give your description. This is my problem statement. It will try to give you the baseline code, and on top of that, you have to code by yourself because Joule will not be able to give you 100% of the code, right? Probably it will be giving 30-40% of the code, and on top of that, you have to build your own project. So these are the mainly two part. So one part is embedding of the chatbots in different applications, and other part is the coding assistant. Okay. So both the things probably I will try to explain in detailed way, in a practical way as well, because how to actually activate their service in your BTP cockpit itself, and then how to use it, I will try to explain. Okay. And even if you are following me in LinkedIn or somewhere else, we have also implement a Joule duplicate. Okay. So like we have created our own coding assistant, that same technology that Joule is actually using. Okay. We have created our own Joule, and you can also do it very easily. Okay, so those things gradually also you will be learning.
Okay, thanks.
Please don't hesitate to ping me or my team at any point of time if you have any doubt. Good luck, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, can you give also any contact number of your team so that we can reach out?
If you go to the acloudguruji.com, in the bottom section you will have the WhatsApp. If you go
Okay.
any page also, you will have this WhatsApp option. Just click on that. Either me or some of my team member will be responding to you. Thank you, guys. Have a nice Sunday.
Thanks, you too. Bye.